All right, everybody, we're live. So today we have Rick Slomba on. So, Rick, first of all, Rick, thank you very much for coming on today.
Thanks for having me on, guys. I appreciate it.
I'm sure everybody knows who Rick is. If you don't, Rick's a 10-time IBJJF Open champion, 4-time U.S. Open champion, and Rick won Worlds last year at Purple Belt, correct? And you got your brown belt on the podium?
Yeah, I did. I did.
Yeah, so brown belt under the Mendez brothers. So again, Rick, thanks for coming on. So our regular podcast members, as usual, we have Ahmed Charani,
Hello.
we have Jordan Short,
Hello.
and we have myself, Adam Cousins. So again, Rick, thanks for coming on, and maybe we could just start by talking about how you got into jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, I got in jiu-jitsu. I was just kind of working out at a Gold's gym back in my hometown, and there was just a guy in there twice a week. He was teaching jiu-jitsu in the activity room, and I don't know, I kind of watched from the window for a while, and when I finally got up my nerve, I went in there and took a class, and, it's kind of just took off from there.
So,
How long was that?
sorry, Adam, go ahead.
What school was it?
How long ago was that? How old were you when you started?
I was 20 when I started. I've been doing it for 8 years.
Oh, sweet. So, Rick, so I guess more into how you start participating into the classes, and then what made you eventually go full time over at I believe AOJ.
Yeah, so when I first started, I was big into the self-defense aspect, and wanted to fight and stuff like that. And that's kind of what the class inside Gold's Gym was. It was nothing too serious. It was more like it was jiu-jitsu. The guy was a purple belt in jiu-jitsu, but it was almost had like a backyard wrestling type thing. Yeah, nothing too organized, a little crazy. And then I just wanted more classes, so I just kept seeking out other schools in the area. And one small school led to another small school and to another small school. And I tried. I didn't compete at all as a white or a blue belt. So all my competition experience was at purple. So I was a little behind. And I don't know, once I started competing, I started, becoming more aware of who the top guys in the sport were, and just more curious, what made them so special, and what it was like to train with them. And then that's kind of how I made it to AOJ eventually. Just more curious than anything what they were like. And so then I finally kind of came out to Atos and visited when the Mendez brothers were there before AOJ opened. And after that, I was just hooked. I knew I had to train full time and give it my best effort and see how high I could go.
What was it that made you decide to start competing?
Because no one will listen to you unless you prove yourself. I thought I understood jiu-jitsu. I thought I could be a really good coach, and I enjoyed teaching classes and stuff, and helping other guys at the gym. But actions, I guess, speak louder than words. So, without any proof that this guy knows what he's talking about, any competition proof, is I didn't feel like people took me as serious, so I wanted to be taken more seriously as somebody that knew what they were doing.
That's a great point, and we've touched on this many times before. People who don't compete. So, and you gave a really good reason. So you're doing it more for the sake of people will take you serious and feel that you're legitimate. Is that what you're?
Yeah. Because, man, tell you the truth, I really don't enjoy competing too much. It's definitely it takes a lot of mental energy out of me. But I think it's just something that it's important to learn how to deal with. And learn how to deal with the stress of the tournament, and performing under pressure is kind of become something that I'm obsessed with. I feel like technically I'm pretty good, but I never, when you go out there and you compete in front of everybody watching, the pressure of winning, sometimes it's really hard to let your techniques just fly. So, I'm kind of just that's why I compete, just to see if I can perform under pressure, at a high level and not freeze. I think that's very important skill to learn, and it would carry over in life, and anything I want to do. It's important not to freeze and use your knowledge at the right time.
Absolutely.
Did you feel? Sorry, go ahead,
Sorry.
Ahmed.
No. Go ahead.
I was just gonna ask, did you feel like you were a bit behind the curve at all with not having competed until purple belt? Did you do anything like any team sports or individual sports, or did you find like you had a hard time adjusting to like the pressures of competition?
Yeah, totally. I played ice hockey, growing up and in high school, and when I was little, I played soccer and baseball, all the normal stuff. So I've competed, I've played games, but always team sports. And man, having not competed in the lower ranks, man, I felt, man, there was a strong learning curve. Man, I didn't understand how aggressive, the guys that were winning the tournament were, man, because it's on a different level. Not everybody in the division, but the top guys, the guys that are winning, like, man, I think it's hard to explain to people how aggressive they are, how strong they are, how fast they are, unless you experience that. And I think, it's just like lifting weights. You start at the lower levels. No one's really that dangerous, so you kind of get used to it. And as you work your way up, you add a little more, a little more. But for me, I didn't have that experience of, like, adjusting to it, so I jumped right into purple belt division where the top guys are, they're pretty brutal. So the learning curve was it was pretty tough, when I first decided to jump into it. Absolutely.
Sort of interesting, actually, because you said you didn't start competing until purple belt, but I find that most people that they'll start competing earlier, and if they really don't like it, they tend to quit by purple. And if people aren't competing by purple, they tend not to compete at all.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an anomaly. Right.
Yeah,
That's an anomaly.
no, but you know what it was? Like, I think a lot of the reasons I didn't compete, like I said, I didn't like it, but more scared to, just, failing, going to the tournament and, and being somebody beating you. And then it's like, like, what does that mean about my jiu-jitsu, So, and then when I finally went to the tournament and I saw how, I froze out there and I didn't react the way I thought in my mind I would be capable of, that was something that kind of just took over, and I just had to beat that. Like, I couldn't live my life, thinking like, I should have competed more, I should have did that, just because I was nervous about it. So I just had to go for it until I could deal with the nerves, and that was very important to me that I figured that out.
That's what a lot of people, they don't understand the kind of intensity involved when you start competing. People think that they have a hard role in the club, and that's the same thing, but it's a totally different animal.
Man, yeah, you're absolutely right. It's so much different. I was one of those guys that would sit back and watch and, always have an opinion about, the guy's just stalling, or, they're using a 50-50 position to hold the fight, or, they're not getting submissions. But then when I started competing, you realize when the pressure's on, when the lights are on, and you're the only one out there, man, it's pretty hard to, beat another human being that's trained to not let you dominate him. Like, the other guy is not just going to go out there and lay down for you. So, it's definitely, I just opened my eyes to all kinds. I can sympathize with all types of high level athletes that want to compete at the highest levels of sports, and just imagine what people beyond me with the black belts feel like, what, like somebody like Floyd Mayweather or Manny Pacquiao, how do they feel right now? I mean, it's got to feel horrible, it's got to feel absolutely horrible. So.
Can you take us through some of your first couple tournaments as a purple? Did you start competing and then bam, you're winning everything, or did you lose for like 6 months? Or
Oh man, no, I lost. No, because when I started, it was like I kind of like, I'm gonna try this tournament, and then I went and then I would lose. I remember just getting really, really tired, legs burning, on fire. The center of your chest kind of feels like you swallowed pennies or something. It tastes like metallic-y. That's like the adrenaline dump. And I remember, like, I felt that, and then I shied away. I shied away from tournaments. It took me 3-4 months before I would do another one. And Then I did another one, and same thing. And I also noticed too, I was really scared to admit to myself that a couple times I competed in the very beginning that I actually like quit. Say like we're taught like, oh, never give up out there, never quit. But man, I was really really freaking tired, and my arms, like couldn't feel them. Like the adrenaline just would hit me really hard. So man, it took me tons of small local tournaments before I started winning. Like, and then it took me even longer to figure out how to do it at IBJJF events and bigger events like that. So, man, it was definitely a process. It wasn't easy at all. So.
Oh, awesome. So, sorry, and I just wanted to follow up on this just a little bit, because you competed at Purple, and I'm just trying to understand the lineage. So I don't know when you went to Atos, but did they give you a Purple, or did you have it awarded to you beforehand? Or?
No, yeah, I had it awarded beforehand from Balance. I don't know if you guys know them. They're a Helson Gracie school in Philadelphia. So my school that I trained with in Baltimore, they were affiliate of that, and that's kind of who my purple belt's through, my blue and my purple.
Okay. Go ahead, Adam. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna kind of say, kind of cutting your teeth on the competition scene at Purple, and then like fast forward to last year, your world's final match against Edwin. Maybe can you talk to us a little bit about that?
I was there, by the way. I was there. I saw it.
Yeah, no, I mean, I remember, the year before I was doing pretty good, winning a lot of the opens. Just as long as Edwin wasn't in my division, I was doing pretty good. And and I would meet up with him, and he would always edge me out. He's a fierce competitor, man, and he's just really dialed in. But I always thought, I could win. I just was like, just getting my mind wrapped around that. Hey, he's the guy that's supposed to win. Kind of believing in yourself is a really hard part of competing, especially I think if you don't do it at a young age or a lower belt and build momentum when you're trying to break into into a division with seasoned guys that put in a lot more work than you did, at the lower belts and kind of been figuring this out, much earlier. So I remember I did pretty good, and then that year, the year before, I had lost in the Worlds to Marcio Andre, who went on to win. It was his second year winning purple belt Worlds. And then the next year, I felt more confident. I was winning a lot of the opens, and I fought Edwin at Pan Ams, and I lost. He beat me, I think, 2-0, and it was okay. I got a lot of confidence from that. And then going into Worlds, I remember going to Worlds that day, driving. I was in the back of the car, and I was reading some blog, and it put like all the purple belts to watch out for, and I wasn't on the list. And I remember I got really upset because I won everything. I'd won all these opens. I think I won 5-6 opens plus a bunch of smaller tournaments. And I was really upset, and I remember thinking like, man, I'm gonna do it. Like, I'm just gonna show everybody. I'm gonna smoke everybody today. And I went in there just started banging out fights one after another. And man, I would go back to the bullpen. I wouldn't even sit down. I was too amped up, and I just kept looking at the board, thinking like, all right, one more. And then finally, I didn't even check to see how Edwin was doing. And then finally, I saw on the board, it was me and Edwin, and I was just like, oh man, I did it. And then I took a big sigh of relief. I was like, whew, I'm here. I can't believe I did it. And my friend, one of my training partners, Nick Boley, he actually happened to be the ring coordinator at the final, on the ring of the final match. And he asked me, he was like, oh, how you feel? I was like, man, I don't know. I was like, I feel pretty excited. I'm happy to be here. And he said, what are you going to do, man? How you going to win, or do you think you're going to win? And I was like, man, I know he's going to footlock me. I said, if he breaks my foot, I was like, that's great. I was like, I'm going to get a 6-month vacation. I said, but I'm not going to tap to his footlock. I said, I'm not going to tap to his footlock. I was like, and I think if I don't tap to the footlock, if I'm not scared of it, I said, I think I can beat him. And that was the last thing I said. And then we walked down there, and then that's kind of exactly what happened during the fight. Man, we came out double pull, and man, I think we got stood up, and we did it again, double pull, and he went right for the footlock, and man, that thing hurt so bad. But I don't know, like midway through it, like I was thinking about tapping. I was like, man, this hurts really bad. I don't want him to break my foot. And then I remembered that I said, like, I would let him break it in the World's Finals. I'd said that a couple months prior to. I had told people that. I said, like, man, like, I really think I could let something break in the World's Finals. You know, if you made it that far, I said, I think I could let it break, you know. Maybe not in the beginning of the tournament, you know, because what good is it going to do to you? But I'm like, but in the finals match, I think I could do that. And so I thought about tapping, and then I was just like, no. And I remember looking at Professor Guy and Professor Hoffa, and just, man, they were kind of like biting their nails because they knew that the footlock was really tight. And then when I didn't tap, like, man, everybody just went crazy, and I think I kind of stole the momentum of the fight. Like, I didn't think he was expecting somebody not to tap to his footlock because, man, it's very good. So I think that's kind of where the momentum shifted into my favor. And then I gained, like, a surge of confidence from that, and that's what allowed me to, keep my wits about me and just finish that fight.
It's tough, man. When somebody throws their best at you and they don't get it, man, that'll shake your confidence too. I'm sure that's how he was feeling after that.
Yeah, like, because I've experienced that too. There have been plenty of times. That's one of the things I've noticed a lot about not just me, lots of people. You see a guy almost in the tournament, he's almost winning in the very beginning of the fight. He almost gets the back, or he almost gets an armbar, whatever. And a lot of times you see the other guy escape, and then that guy winds up winning, the guy that escaped, because the other guy takes a dip. It does take a blow to your confidence, and it also takes a lot of energy to try to finish the fight. So, like if it fails, because he was wailing on that thing at Worlds. So when it failed, I'm sure he was pretty tired from it, because he put everything he had into that. So.
Well, you got to think, too, like the emotion involved in that, too. You know that you have something locked in, and this is for a gold, right? Like, this is everything right here. And then if you don't get it, just boom.
So I feel like that's kind of definitely what happened. And I also, congrats to him, too, because he came back more motivated than ever and won the open class, which I think is absolutely amazing. So, he's a hell of a competitor. And I don't know, I don't think winning, I don't think it could have been any better experience for me, to be able to beat a guy of that caliber, especially somebody that's beaten me before, at the finals, so it's like, that you got to fight the absolute favorite and the best guy, on the other side of the bracket. So I think that was amazing.
So Rick, what doors did Worlds open for you after that? Like, I think maybe you might have said it or somebody else, and I think I read it somewhere on the internet, so forgive me if it wasn't you, but I think it said something along the lines of, well, I have a lot more Facebook friends now, or something. Was that you?
No, I didn't say that, but that's true. That is true. Yeah. No, I mean, man, winning Worlds, it's definitely, no, it just made me feel better about myself. It's much easier to believe in yourself when you put in the work and you did that, and the kind of the vision of your jiu-jitsu, you were able to prove that it's a good vision, that it's capable of winning at a high level, and then that allows other people to believe in you as well, so when I'm teaching, I can see that the students believe, what I'm telling them, and they trust me that it works, that I'm not selling them wolf tickets or something. So I think, I think that's what it's really opened up for me. It's just I have more confidence in myself. People also have confidence in me, because I have that accomplishment. So I think that's what it is.
Awesome. Good answer. So like, I guess what I was getting at is, have you been asked for maybe more super fights, or I think you were always sponsored by Control Industries, so I'm not going to say new sponsorships, but I was looking at more like some more grappling opportunities that maybe have come up, or not necessarily.
No, not really. Somebody, I forget who it was. Somebody just sent me a message asking me about um, about a super fight, but it's not until like October. Um, yeah, of October this year. So they were just kind of seeing if I would be interested. When they have more details, I told them yeah. But no, there's really not too much. Definitely have had more opportunities to do seminars. I went to Australia this year.
Yeah.
I went to Israel, which was really awesome. And so from there. But super fight wise, no, not too much. Not too much.
Sounds good. And also, I wanted to follow up with Worlds. I mean, obviously, Worlds is coming up. It's probably about, I think, 4 weeks away now, maybe a little bit more, 5 weeks. But anyway, are you participating? Are you doing that this year?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I wouldn't miss it.
So, you know what? One question we usually ask some of our guests is take us through like a typical day of training for those out there who especially ramping up for a big tournament without giving away all your trade secrets or whatever. But is it like a constant grind, 6 days a week, or you know?
Yeah, basically, it's wake up in the morning, classes either at 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock, so hit that one up, and then comp class is 10:30 every Monday through Friday, so 10:30 to 12. Take a little break, and then back here teaching the kids, and then class again, at 8 o'clock in the evening. This year, we're doing the camp. Atos is coming here
Yeah.
once a week, and we go down to San Diego. Honestly, like, I feel like I didn't get out of shape. Like, really nobody at AOJ got out of shape after Worlds. I think right after Worlds, I think I competed my first time like 3 weeks later or something. So, we didn't get out of shape. So it's kind of hard. I think, we took a little break from training with Atos just because I think, we were starting to get a little tired. I know I was starting to get a little tired just because the camps are good, revving up for the big tournaments. But, when you kind of stay in shape and stay ready to go, all year, I think, you can only rev so much higher above that. So I've been taking a little time off, kind of been training a little easier, just working on my timing and stuff because I feel like my cardio and like the mental toughness is there.
Mhm.
So yeah, lately just kind of working on my timing and the explosiveness in between positions. So you need to be a little fresher for that type of training. You don't want to be dead tired from grinding rounds.
Right.
But some days it is a grind. So mix it up. But if you want to work on the beautifulness of your technique, I think you need to be a little fresher. You can't be as tired and fatigued if you want to get that type of work done. So.
Awesome.
What about strength and conditioning? Do you any lifting or any type of S&C training?
No, no. Everybody tells me I'm strong. So I don't know, which kind of makes me feel good, kind of aggravates me. I wish they said I was technical. Isn't that? But I guess if I was technical, I'd wish they said I was strong. That's kind of how it always goes. So I never really feel, especially at featherweight, I never really feel that I need to lift weights or anything. I used to, before I trained full time, training wasn't as intense, and I didn't train every day. I only trained a couple times a week. So I always, I used to do a lot of deadlifting and squats, which I feel like is the reason why people say I'm strong. It's just because, years ago that's what I used to do. So, but not so much anymore.
Rick, you touched on you mentioned full time again. So can we just go back a bit earlier in the podcast? So you said from Philadelphia, I believe you said from Philly, then you moved down to San Diego. What I guess the question I'm trying to ask is, how did you just pick up and move for jiu-jitsu right away? Like, did you have support from your family?
It's like so first it wasn't right away. Like it wasn't right away, like I said, and I'm from Baltimore. But
Sorry. Okay.
the affiliate school, like the main school, like that my school is affiliated under, is in Philadelphia.
Okay.
But no, like I was always training. I was always curious, and just kind of the more I did jujitsu, like you know how it is. The more it creeps into your life. It's just you start out doing it, once, twice a week. It's not that big of a deal, and then all you can do is think about it. Like the more involved, the more you understand about it, the more you want to master it. The more you want to improve your skills. So so that's kind of, it started creeping into my life. Like started losing interest in my job. And all I wanted to do was train. And when I wasn't training, I was just thinking about training. And when I moved, I just kind of went for it. I remember feeling kind of just like really depressed. Like I just wanted to train. Like I wanted to give it my best go. I felt confident that, the life that I was currently living, I could always get back. I still feel that. Like I feel if I move back home and I go back to work, like doing my old job, I can have the old life. So, it was a gamble. Like I wanted to trade that, for what I perceived as something better, so no risk, no reward, so that's kind of, I just decided to go for it. I kind of kept it a secret even from my wife until I came back from San Diego the first time, and I told her, like, hey, we're going to sell our house. And
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
I said we're going to sell our house. And I said, I think, we can move in with my grandmother for a little bit, because she wanted to go back to school too. She wanted to become a nurse. And I said, and you can kind of do this. I was like, and, and we'll look for another house, because I was in real estate, so it was like, sell the house, we'll find something, we'll find another good deal in the market, we'll buy another one. And but I had no intentions of buying another house at all. I had just intentions of sneaking away, yeah. So kind of set her up. We got her going to school, and so she was happy, happy wife, happy life. And then my family didn't really understand at all what I was doing. They understand it more now, but they always, oh, you're gonna come back and get a regular job, and it's like, maybe, I don't know. And but then when the Mendez brothers opened up their school, that's when I made the move. 1 month after they opened up, I came out. I told everybody I was coming for 3 months, but then once I got here, I let my wife in on the secret that I wasn't coming back, and we were actually going to be moving here once her school semester ended. So yeah. And so when I broke the news to the family, the rest of my family, they were they were a little they were upset. They wanted me to come home and take care of certain affairs and stuff, and I was like, no. I knew I had to. I knew I was here. I knew if I went back, maybe I wouldn't do it. I would get scared and I would back out. And I was like, man, I already made it this far. I'm just going to see it through. I'm just going to keep going from here. And so the first 6 months were really hard. Me and my wife, we were apart during that time. So, we were apart. I'm sorry?
Sorry, apart as in like living apart, or like?
Yeah, we were living apart. Like,
oh, sorry,
like we didn't,
okay.
Yeah, because she was going to school, so she couldn't make the move right away.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so she had to wait until Christmas. I came in July, and she didn't move out here with me. I actually went home for Christmas that year, and then we drove back out, with our car and stuff. Once the semester ended for her. So that's kind of how it was, man. It was kind of like under the radar, had it in the back of my mind for a couple months, was scared shitless, man, like really scared, like, but I was just like, let's do it. Let's just do it. And that's what I did, man. I just finally, I don't know, man, I just got the courage and just jumped in, and just everything worked out, but it was scary for a while.
That's definitely a big decision, and like, to think like a lot of these young guys that start training full time, they don't have like a career.
Yeah, they're broke.
You're just like, well, I'm just gonna give up this good job that I have. I'm gonna move all the way across the country and then just train jujitsu. People probably thinking like, what, the pajama thing, or?
No, yeah, but that's exactly what they think, But but that's okay. It's just. I wouldn't trade it for anything. Like, I'm happy. I feel really fulfilled. And it's cool, like, watching it, I never really got the support of my family, back home, like, for jiu-jitsu. They always supported me, like, if I was ever in trouble or I needed something, they would give me, but they never quite were behind me, like, yeah, go do jiu-jitsu. That sounds like a great idea. And neither were my friends back home either, it was just kind of like this weird thing that I went off to do. And it was normally in, like, dirty gyms, like little dungeon looking places. And, I wasn't competing. I wasn't putting myself out there. I just wanted to train, train, train. But once I kind of took the leap after 6 months of being at AOJ and working with the kids and starting to coach and winning tournaments and stuff like that, man, like it was unbelievable how much, everybody started helping me if I needed it. Like, help is, I feel very supported now. Like, they jump behind, and it's kind of like, like the way I put him, the way it seems in my mind is like, if you don't take the jump, like, no one can catch you. Like, no one can help you. Like, if you're just standing around, like, thinking about how can I do it, or like, what happens if I do it, and just waiting for someone to help you, no one's gonna help you. But man, as soon as you just commit to it, man, it's going to be amazing how many people, like, just show up in your life. And that's kind of what happened here at AOJ. I found a room to stay on off of Craigslist. It was an older lady that I stayed with, and I used to put a chair by the door at night, with my stuff sitting there just in case, because I thought she was going to murder me. I never done something like that, so just like, man, this lady's crazy. She doesn't know me. I don't know her. She's just letting me stay at her house. Like, man, like, this lady, man, she's probably like some type of serial killer or something, so I better, like, protect myself. Like, but then, like, it was so cool. Like, I moved here within 3 months, though, Gustavo and Mason and Danny, these guys, they all started showing up, and, we were able to get a place together, and then life got easier, financially it got easier. It got more fun. So it was really cool just how it all worked out. Like, I don't know. It's just really cool how and I think that'll work in anything. If tomorrow I turn around and I want to do something else, I think, man, you just take the jump, you do it, and, it's going to work out. If you really commit to achieving your goal and living, the life that you want to, it's going to work out. You're going to find the right people. You don't have to look for them either. They're going to find you because they're going to be walking down the same path. And that's what's cool about AOJ. I have like 6 guys here, plus the bros that, that are helping me, guiding me, walking down the path together. And it's not as scary, It's not as scary with your friends. So you're going to find the right people if you take the jump,
I'm sure there are a bunch of people that are going to listen to this, and they're the same people who are like, well, I really want to be able to train full time, but you know what? Like, I have a wife, I have a house, I can't just pick up and go. And like, it's proof that you can do that. It depends really, like, how bad you want it, though, right?
Man, 100%. There's this thing. I don't know if you guys have ever heard it. There's one TED Talk that I listen to, like, gives me, like, chills when I listen to it. The guy talks about, like, why you're not going to have a great career, and or a good career. And he's just talking about, like, you're going to fail because of this. You're going to fail because of this. You're going to give up because of this. And then, at the end, he ties it all together basically with, like, what are you going to tell your kid? Like, if you don't do what you want to do, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't go after your goals and your dreams, like, what are you going to tell your kid one day? You're going to tell your kid, hey, that's a great dream that you have there, but, just get a job. Just get a job, because that's what I did, and that terrifies me, like, I don't want to have a kid, and tell him, like, man, dad had dreams of doing this, but he was too scared. No, my son comes up to me, or my daughter, and I don't know, if I have a son and he wants to be a circus performer, I want to be able to tell him, you know what? Yeah, you can make a living doing that. Let's find the people you need, let's get you on the path. Like, if I have a daughter, she wants to be a scientist. Okay, great. Let's find the path. Like, whatever they want to do, like, there's somebody out there that's walked that path, you know, and you can find them or you can copy their life. You know, like the steps they've taken. I wish when I was younger, you know, when I was younger, I had a lot of heroes, you know, but just like Arnold Schwarzenegger was my hero. But when I was little, it was just, you know, he was the Terminator, so it was awesome. But, you know, as I've gotten older, you know, I've like read his biography, and his biography is way cooler than any movie role he's ever played. And that's a book, you know, that sticks out, you know. Any struggle that I've had is in his book, like how he overcame it. You know, I'm doing it on a much smaller scale than what that guy's ambition is, but man, he leaves like a breadcrumb trail to follow, you know, and a lot of biographies. So I've been on a biography kick, and a lot of them are just like his, you know, like can be anything: politicians, actors, sports stars, you know, some guy making, you know, paper mache in his garage. I don't know. Like there's somebody that succeeded doing what they love, and you know, so if you just jump, man, the people are going to find you. You know, you're going to meet up with the right people, and you know, and really live the life you want, which is important, man. It's life's too short not to just, you know, destroy your body on what you love. So that's, you know, why I'm here.
Am I the only one on the panel who feels like shit right now? Am I the because I'm not going to be a legend to my children now. Like, but you're right though, because
yeah, but you guys are, man. Like right now, like, man, you guys already have a voice. You know, this podcast is a great thing. You know, you're helping me right now. You know, maybe my story helps other people. You've helped how many athletes that have been on your show? You know, like you've given them an outlet, and you guys can continue to take your podcast to the next level and the next level. You know, the more work you put into it, the bigger your podcast is going to get, the more people you can help. And that's legendary. You know, you guys have a voice. Like, you know, most people are going to live their entire life and never have a voice. So, you know, what you guys are doing is incredibly awesome, you know, in its own way, you know, like, this is me. Like I didn't have the balls to start a podcast. You know, I just wanted to train jiu-jitsu and win a gold medal. You know, you guys have a voice, and what you guys are building can last. You know, man, this thing can be going on 30 years from now. You know, like taking jiu-jitsu, making jiu-jitsu athletes. You know, getting them the credit that I think they deserve. You know, we work really hard. This is a brutal sport with not a lot of money, especially on the front end. All the money's on the back end right now, you know, like what you can do with your accolades. But, you know, a show like you guys have is providing an outlet, you know, for us to one day take the sport to the next level, man. So you guys are doing awesome, man.
Damn. Rick, thank you. I don't even know what to say.
Feel better now?
I feel pretty good now, yeah.
Man, you guys are doing a great job.
That's great, though. No, man, I love it. I love that you brought the kids into it because, like, if I win a medal or you know, a podium picture, I always say, yeah, I'm going to show my children, and maybe that will motivate them one day to do something. But I never really thought of the whole. You're right, because I was raised, you know, get a degree, get a job, buy a house, die. That's what you do, right?
Yeah.
That's you know, and I think we all go through that way, and even myself, I have been critical of some people who have maybe done, you know, their dreams or whatever because secretly I'm jealous. Maybe, I don't know, I think I just had like a wake-up call here. But no, that's legit. You know, that's legit. I mean, the timing for you, Rick, was also amazing too, right? Like you started with AOJ just as they were starting up, right?
Yeah, man. Yeah, that helps so much. You know, and I kind of timed it because I was gonna move to Atos because I thought the brothers were gonna be there full time. But then, you know, Mike Liera actually was the one that told me, like, oh, you know, you didn't know that they're gonna open up a school. I was like, no, and he was like, yeah, and he told me, and then when I went back, I did kind of plan like when I was gonna come out and visit. Like, I figure, you know, the most reward for anything, you know, whether, you know, Gold Rush or working for Apple or whatever, the most reward were for the people that went first, you know, the people that believed in the vision and we're willing to take the risk. So I definitely thought that, coming at the very beginning of the gym was important. And, luckily that worked out well. The timing of that worked out really well. So that's great.
Damn. I don't know.
But that being said, there are plenty of people that have come after me that have come here and, and just put their nose to the grind quietly, and just showed up every day, start training, nothing happened for them, and then, now they work here, or, they're starting to have their own success too and become the, so, there's still plenty of opportunity here, if you're willing to put in the work first, so.
Well, man, like, I mean, as far as anybody goes, like, with training and competing, like, you can't deny success, right?
No. Like that's it. But success is just, it's just keep doing it. Like, keep doing it. Don't get discouraged. Like, I mean, you're going to get discouraged, but you just keep going. You just keep going. I think Marcelo Garcia said it. I love, like, his quote. It's just like, everybody has their day, but most people never show up for it. I believe that 100%. I used to think, too, going to the tournaments that I was fighting other guys, but I'm not fighting other guys. Like, I'm just out there doing my techniques, like I'm in a live action video game. I'm just doing my techniques at the right time, and, I'm going to have success, I'm going to have some failures, and I'm just going to jump back up there, and eventually I'm going to win too, because I'm not going to stop. So if you have that attitude, success is going to find you, just because you refuse to have anything else, so most people, I think just get discouraged and then they just stop. I've been there, it was just, I started realizing that, hey, I'll just figure out every way to lose. And then eventually, like, I got to find out a way to win, so that was for me. And you look at a lot of, it's harder as an adult, but watching the kids train and come up here at the gym, I see that, a lot of these kids, that they take their losses. They, they're getting beat, but because they're young, it's not that publicized. There's a lot more tournaments for them to fight in. There's always matches. So, after a couple of years of doing it, they start winning, and then that's all they remember. Like the when they were losing when they were 6, 7, 8 years old, they don't remember that anymore. They just remember winning. And adults can do the same, but we tend to hold on to the past a lot. When we remember our losses, so sometimes it's hard to keep going and break out of that trend of losing. Because I remember the brothers would say, like, one day you're going to go to the tournament and you're going to expect to win. Like that, it's just going to be like, you're just going to feel like, yeah, you're going to win. You're not going to think about it. And I remember thinking, like, yeah, right, these guys are full of crap, man. Like, man, I feel lucky. Like, if I win more than 2 fights, I feel lucky, and never like, yeah, I'm the man or I'm going to win. But, man, sure enough, I went to enough tournaments and I won enough that, I would say 9 out of 10 times I go to the tournament pretty confident that I'm going to win, like just because it's become a habit. Like, you just figure out how to do it, and then you figure out how to replicate it, and then you're just kind of on that winning path. And you see it with, man, I'm not the only one, like so many guys, Edwin's a great example of a guy that's done it too. Like, man, that guy, no way that guy doesn't go to the tournament not expecting to win, but it wasn't always like that for him, like he was younger, like, taking his licks, and then he just figured it out, and then, man, you're unstoppable once you figure it out. So.
Damn. Just the passion, man, the way you speak of it, that's amazing. It's amazing. But you know what? Let's talk about a loss. Let's end this with a loss.
All right.
Toronto. What happened?
Oh, Toronto?
Explain Toronto.
What was Toronto? I didn't make weight.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was.
I'm sorry to laugh, but like nobody made weight that day, so that's why I'm
laughing. I'll tell you. So I remember thinking, like first I didn't want to do Toronto. Because I was like, nah, man, I don't want to compete right now. Like, I didn't want to do it. I just wanted to teach it because I was there to teach at Pure BJJ, one of AOJ's affiliates. I was there to teach, and I remember thinking, like, man, like, I just want to do this. This is kind of like a vacation for me. And, so it's just my mindset going into it. Like, man, you can will yourself. Man, I have a teammate that's amazing. He can lose 9 pounds in like 6 hours, man, like, and still win tournaments. So I think that tournament, it was one of those things, like, my heart wasn't into it. And, I found the first and easiest excuse I could find, and I just took it, so I just kind of bailed on it. And that's it, truthful. Just you find an excuse. If you don't want to do something, you'll find a way not to do it. And I missed weight by ½ a pound, and I did try to run, but if I really wanted to make it, I probably could have ran harder. I was just using the first excuse there, and I bailed. So that's what happened.
Adam, you have more
definitely weren't the only person to miss weight there that day. I was doing the gi checks that day, and there was quite a bit of let's call it healthy debate as to the accuracy of the scales that day.
Yeah, look, the scale's the first opponent, and it's the one that is the easiest to lose to and complain about. So I'm not complaining. If my mind was in it, my heart was in that one. If I would have been like, yeah, this is what I'm doing, like, I would have made that weight. So, missing weight's just the first excuse, that you get. Next excuse is the referee, so, that's just how it works in BJJ. If you miss weight, it was the scale's fault, or it was my plane ride's fault, or the car ride. And then if you make the weight and then you go compete and you lose, it was the referee's fault. If it's like down to the wire, he didn't give me my points. If you get submitted, then that guy trains more than me. Like, if you guys train the same amount and you lose, it's like, well, he's younger than me. Man, we just make lists and lists of excuses. But whatever, it's a coping mechanism. It'll never go away, just as long as after you make the excuse, give yourself some time and then just come back to it and realize that, hey, no, that was just all you, just man up and do it better next time. So that's all.
I didn't think it was such a sore spot with you, so I thought it was I thought because a lot of people missed weight that day, like a lot of people. And
no, it's not a sore spot. It's just it's just what it is. I've just noticed this as a competitor. Like, man, what we joke around here all the time, just saying that, man, guys always seem to get hurt, the week before the tournament, but then they always train the Monday after the tournament. They're always feeling better.
Exactly.
Man, it just happened. It's just nerves. It's just nerves. It just has everything to do with people hate failing in front of their friends.
Yeah.
That's all it is. So I've seen guys compete injured. I've seen guys, like I said, lose 9 pounds. So we can never really blame the scale. There is a test scale there. If you really want to make the weight, just start running. So yeah. So I just feel like it's just an excuse.
Yeah.
I was going to ask about getting your brown belt, because we were just talking. For anybody who doesn't know, Ahmed, congratulations, Ahmed, on just being promoted to brown belt about 3 weeks ago, right, Ahmed?
Yeah, it was just about 3 weeks ago. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
But we were talking a bit about the belt, and Ahmed was saying, as Ahmed always does, he's like, I'm not very good. Like, did you feel like when you got the brown belt, did you feel like, yes, I'm ready for this, this is the next step, or do you feel like you kind of always have to grow into the belt that you have?
I mean, he won Worlds, so yeah, he should feel like he deserved it, right?
Yeah.
Well, you won Pans.
At Masters, though, I don't know. It's different.
But that's that's for where you started, for where we all started, like that's fine. You know, I don't put any. You know, doesn't matter. Winning is hard in any division. It doesn't matter. Man, it could be.
But like
We just had
when you got your brown, Rick, when you got
Yeah.
your brown, were you like, did you feel like, yeah, this is the right step for me?
No, yeah,
Or
absolutely.
do you feel like, I don't know if I'm ready yet?
No. I felt like it was the right step. I think like honestly, the way I view things, I really think that the champion in every division at every belt, I think that the guys that win are really close to each other, except for the black belt world champion. I feel like the blue, the purple, and the brown belt world champion. I feel like there's really not that much that separates them. There is some experience and there is like obvious some skill, but it's just more the attitude that you have to cultivate to win, you know, to win at that level, you know, at those big tournaments. You know, it's the same type of person. You know, I feel like the biggest skill gap between guys in every division is just between everybody and the world champion at black belt. Like that's the one where that guy is really in a lot of cases he's leaps and bounds ahead of everybody. You know, so yeah, I feel brown belt is honestly the same as purple belt. The division's actually just smaller. You know, same techniques work. The 1 minute added to it doesn't make it feel any different. The toe holds haven't really affected my game at all. You know, so I'm fighting the same guys. You know, weight classes are kind of all the same from blue to brown, and the guys that are winning blue, purple, brown, whatever, those guys are all, you know, they're cut from the same cloth, or they figured it out. They're on the same mental wavelength there. So it's okay.
No, it's well said.
That's cool. It's funny, Ahmed, he's so self-deprecating, but like, you know, you say like, oh, maybe I don't deserve my brown, but you think about it, all the brown belts out there who didn't win pans at Masters.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
like, you shouldn't diminish your accomplishment, man.
I get it.
That's the only thing Ahmed knows how to do with his accomplishments is diminish them.
No, but Rick, this is what I said. I said there's many purple belts who would still kick my ass, and I'm sure, just like you said, those blue belt world champions would smear me over the mat too. So I'm just like, this whole belt thing is kind of ridiculous because like we're all really the same. It's like it's one of the very few sports that has this rank, whereas you could be a boxer, a seasoned boxer for 10 years, and a rookie right off, you know, who's just got a good job, he can come and just wipe the floor with you, right? But that's okay. But now we got a brown belt who's lose to a blue belt. Oh, God forbid, you know, this is horrible. So that was my thing, is that I just think it's, I don't know.
No, I actually agree with you. I think maybe the belts one day can be obsolete. Yeah, 100% agree with that. Like the belts mean very little. You know, it is just about, you know, the better athlete, you know, and a better, like a world-class athlete in, you know, I don't know, a judo guy. He comes in, you know, he's going to be able to hang with a little bit of experience in jiu-jitsu. He'll be able to hang with brown and black belts just because he's explosive, he's aggressive. He knows what it's like to fight against really strong, explosive guys as well. So I think the belts one day can absolutely become obsolete, and that would be fine. Because I always joke with the guys and say, you know, just because you play baseball from the time you're in little league to high school doesn't mean you get to go to the pros. You know,
Yeah.
and that's just what it is. It doesn't matter, even if you train full time. You know, training full time does not guarantee, you know, that you're gonna get to be you know, black belt world champion or even top level black belt. It does not guarantee. It can increase the chances for sure, but you know, it doesn't always guarantee that. So I agree. The belt system eventually one day can just be wiped out. It can be more like wrestling. You know, it just it's like if you're good, you're good. If not, you know, you're not. Just let the tournament speak for itself. So yeah.
But there's money in it, right? There's the whole thing. White belt divisions introduced into worlds. It's like a huge money thing. So, but we could be discussing this all night. But yeah, I'm glad somebody sees where I'm coming from. But these guys.
No, I agree. But at the same time too, because don't diminish your accomplishments. You know, like I think I used to do that a lot, and you know, it was a shitty personality trait of mine, and I feel like I'm getting rid of it more and more, and no, I would win, and I would always say the same thing. The guys, they weren't that good, but no, winning's hard. No matter what you're doing, you could be playing, poker with friends, and to win it's still hard, So no matter what you do, like to be a winner, and to consistently replicate it, like that's hard. So try not to diminish your accomplishments at all, because they're important, and we all have different starting places. We don't all start with the same stuff. So what might be a small accomplishment for Rafa Mendez, is a fine accomplishment for you or myself or somebody out there, who started at a different place. So don't diminish yourself.
Thanks, man. That's amazing.
Ahmed, I feel like you should hire Rick to be like your life coach.
Yeah, man. Rick's really raised my mood. Like I was down on myself. I feel great, man. Like, it's amazing, right? Okay. So on that note, though, we are approaching our hour. We are approaching our hour, Rick. So again, thank you very much for joining us. But before we let you go, are there any sponsors, anybody at all you'd like to thank?
Yeah, just would love to thank my wife. She followed me without a doubt. She believed in me. She was the first person to believe in me. So that's awesome. Love you, sweetie. Thank the brothers. Man, they built Jiu-Jitsu heaven here at AOJ, and man, they're not greedy people. They help so many people, and it's incredible how giving they are. And Control Industries, always give them a shout out, because they gave me a gi when no one knew who I was, or before I really had accomplished anything that great. And he's been with me all the way, so I really appreciate that, guys. So, and thank you guys for having me on the show.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, thanks for coming on, Rick.
Yeah.
Just as a small disclaimer for anybody out there watching, if you are married and you decide to sell your house and move for jiu-jitsu, maybe discuss it with your wife first. It worked for Rick, but it may not work for you.
Hey, man.
But no, Rick, thanks again for coming on. Really appreciated it, and good luck at Worlds this year. We'll definitely be watching out for you.
All right, thanks, guys. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thanks a lot, Rick. Take care.
Close.